Need to at least ask the question to see what the evidence says. And China right now is not giving any evidence on that question at all.
And there you go. We've been talking about that ever since. Joining the conversation this morning is Fox Business's Dagan McDowell, National Taxpayers Union Senior Fellow, Forward Strategies President Mattie Duppler, and Republican strategist, Pinion Enterprises founder and CEO Joseph Pinion. Great to see everybody this morning. Thanks very much for being here.
Great to see you, Maria.
Good morning.
So here's what you have, a lab that is studying the coronavirus. Obviously, they're studying the coronavirus. At this point, it looks like it was an accident that it got out. But again, how do you know what it is, Dagan McDowell, when China has been lying from the get-go and playing this down? And as I speculated from the get-go, there's a reason that they did not let in the CDC from the beginning.
You have been on this from moment one and talking about this literally for months now, since at least early February, Maria, based on my memory. But the problem here is,
yeah, you and I talked about it. That's
right. I mean, but every time it came up, because there was never any explanation for the stonewalling and the lying.
That's right.
And why are you keeping the CDC out? Why were you dragging your feet? And why was the World Health Organization essentially spreading the lies from the Chinese government? Here's the issue. So, as you said, that this new report from Fox News says that this virus got out not as a bioweapon, but as part of their effort to demonstrate China's efforts to demonstrate that it could identify and combat viruses.
Yeah, but we don't know that.
Right. And the problem is we will probably never really get to the bottom of what happened, because, as I keep saying, communism, we either kill you accidentally or intentionally.
That's right. Accidentally or intentionally. That's exactly right. And we don't know how it actually got out. They're saying, oh, we wanted to show that we're better at viruses. By the way, I'm not buying it, okay? The problem with this is that this is going to trigger copycats. I mean, this was okay, a virus got out of this lab and it killed all of those people across the world. Wow. In retrospect, you could see people saying that was easy. In terms of getting my enemies out of the way. I even spoke with Heyman Capital Management founder Kyle Bass, as well as Senator Marco Rubio, about Beijing's really lies and trying to downplay this pandemic from the get-go. Watch this.
We all know that the Chinese government lies, cheats, and steals its way through the world. And it's important to note that, look, China, as you know, how many people are there? 1.3 billion people. If anyone believes that their infection and death toll is what they published, there's people. I've got a bridge to sell them in Arizona.
But let there be no doubt, the failure of the Chinese Communist Party to be transparent and to open up to the world and disclose this early has cost the lives of people around the world, has cost the infections of people around the world, and has caused this to spread faster and further than it needed to.
Joseph Pinion, you're with us this morning. What's your reaction to all of this? Going into this pandemic, let's not forget the pressure that Xi Jinping was under. You had protesters in Hong Kong protesting the authoritarianism coming out of China. You had an economy that was declining because of President Trump's tariffs. Rather, he was under tremendous pressure going into this pandemic. It's worse in China as well, by the way. This accident that came out of the Wuhan lab, Joseph.
No, absolutely. And I mean, to your point, we don't know what actually transpired. What we do know is that if President Trump is the art of the deal, then China is the perfection of the lie. So when we sit here and try to analyze where we are today, Ronald Reagan famously said that we have to trust but verify. If they're not allowing you to verify the truth, you can most assuredly believe that there is a lie somewhere below. So I think really when you look at this situation, we are talking much about President Trump defunding WHO, but WHO is actually a symptom of this greater kind of fraud that's been perpetrated on the world by China for their inability and their complicity in spreading this plague from continent to continent by their inability to actually confront the truth.
Yeah, Mattie, your reaction to this, you're not hearing a lot about those protesters in Hong Kong anymore, are you?
That's certainly right, Maria. And you're asking the right questions. But turns out we have an international organization that is supposed to be asking these same questions. WHO is supposed to be engaged in tracking down exactly where this virus came from. And while we don't know the root cause of it yet, we do know a couple things about China's response. Like, they waited almost a week to start notifying people that this was a problem and that it was spreading like wildfire in the Chinese population. So even if we are still considering different origins of the virus, we know a couple things about China's response, and we know that it was sorely deficient.
Can I just add one thing on the lies coming out of China? I just want to point out the timing of all of these pronouncements from China is so suspect. President Xi did not make his first public statement until January the 20th. And the government task force chief on that day finally announced person-to-person transmission. What a coincidence that that was the day that the CDC confirmed that there was an American on the ground who had been in Wuhan, who was back here and came back to the United States with coronavirus. They waited that long to confirm human-to-human transmission.
And don't forget what I had tweeted about when I got back from Davos. As soon as I got back from Davos, it was around January 31st. I tweeted out, so let me get this straight, I wrote. We learned about coronavirus and that the Chinese knew about it at the end of December. Then they sent a delegation to Washington to shake everybody's hand and do phase one of the trade deal. Then they sent the largest delegation they've ever sent, 350 people, to Davos. And then, of course, we learned the fate of the coronavirus and what had taken place. I heard from my sources in Washington that after they did the trade deal, the officials in Washington, after signing that phase one trade deal, they learned from the Chinese about the coronavirus 2 or 3 days later, after they did the deal in Washington. So we're going to talk a lot about this morning. And one key issue to talk about is the issue that's facing corporate America today. What are they going to do? Big decisions to be made in terms of supply chains and trusting China.